Hey, welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. I'm Scott, and there is Dave right next to me. And we have a Mummy double feature today, going back to the 30s for Boris Karloff's Mummy, and also Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, and The Mummy as well. I forget what year that came out.
1999?
God, such a good movie. Both of these movies. Out of the two, just right about which one do you like better? Is there a favorite?
It's really hard to say because I love Boris Karloff. Boris Karloff, for me, was the Mummy I grew up with. He's the actor, the quintessential Mummy, Emotep. The Rachel Weisz and Brandon Fraser one is the one with all the action in it. The one that I wish the original 1932 Mummy would have had in it. That's what's missing in the 1932 movie.
Well,
but they didn't do that a lot back then either.
No, they didn't. The 1930 movie is a 1930s movie. It's just how these movies were. But this is what's interesting. When I was watching the latest Mummy movie, or the later Mummy movie, I noticed what I was seeing is all the stuff they did not show in the 1930s movie.
Yep.
It's alluded to. They talk about it. They show you maps. They talk about all this stuff. We get to see it all go down. And that's what I think is really cool. It is a very fleshed out version. Flesh. But yeah. And it's cool. I love Karloff. He has such a screen presence. I don't know what else to say. He's very creepy.
He is just a genius. And the girl, Zita Johann, but she was from Austria-Hungary, and I want to find out. She was born in 1904. I want to say is what it was. And this was one of her first roles, her first big roles. And she had, I want to make sure I'm going to say this right. She had in her contract a right to say no, which is very odd back then for actors and actresses. And one of the things was that I forgot who it was. I was looking for it. I don't see it here. But the guy that gave her the contract, she kept turning the contracts down. She kept saying, no, I don't want that. No, I don't want that. And the guy finally got pissed off at her and says, well, what the hell is your problem? Why will you not do a movie? He goes, I would do a movie for you, darling, if you would write something that wasn't garbage. And walked out of his office.
Good for her.
And I was like, holy crap. She wasn't a big name. She was on the stage, you know, she was well known as a stage actress, but there was just like, oh, that's ballsy. That's really ballsy.
I get it though. I get it. Good for her.
Get it. Yeah. Zita Johann. She was, 1904. She passed away in 1993.
Oh, wow.
So she was.
Can you imagine had she gotten to see the Brendan Fraser one? I would love to see if any of these people would have been able to have been around.
Yeah. I'd love to have known what she would have thought of that.
Yeah.
But here's one story about her before we get too much into the movie. This is just my most endearing story about her that I've read. She was somewhat into the occult by everything that I could find about her. Spiritualism would have been the time, was what they would have called it at the time. And when she met Boris Karloff, she just looked deep into his eyes and was like, you have so many souls. You're such an old soul. And it was like, you know, it was like one of the first times she met him, but they had like a really good, I guess, a good friendship. I don't know how long it lasted, but at least on the movie and in the movie set, she said he had the oldest soul and probably one of the saddest saddest set of eyes and soul that she'd ever seen. Forward, I'm not sure what year, I want to say in the 80s, older woman, some guy finds out about her and finds out she's still alive. I think he was a college newspaper guy, and he went to go see her. And he's going to interview her. Her butler or her maid or whatever it was wouldn't let him in the door yet because Zeta said, hold on, I'm not ready. Makes the guy wait like 10 or 15 minutes past the time that they were supposed to start their interview. When he's finally allowed to come in, do you remember the scene in The Mummy where she's on the couch and she's kind of laid back on
Yeah.
that little love seat thing and the light's hitting her perfectly?
Uh-huh.
That he said that's how she was laying when he walked in. He goes, when I walked in, she was stunning. He goes,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how else to say it. He goes, she knew where her light was and she knew who her audience was. And that he said she literally had like a lamp, like I guess a floor lamp.
She was
like,
making sure.
Just at her just the right way. She had a chair set right where he would be sitting. Like he wasn't allowed to get up and move the chair. He was sitting there, and you can ask me your questions now, darling. And they had their interview. He said
That's awesome.
It was the oddest interview. He goes, but it was one of the most memorable and terrific interviews he's ever had.
Damn.
And I think about that every time I watch this movie when she's on the couch and she's all like laid back when the guy walks in. I'm like, that's funny. She did the exact same thing many years later. But for me to pick, there's so much to love about both of them. I'm a huge fan of the original Universal monster.
Mm-hmm.
That's you and I had talked about after we watched the Rob Zombie movie with the monsters, how we were like, I would love to see Rob Zombie do a Universal monster and actually like the old school monsters, not glorify it, not just here's the basic principle, put more action in it, of course, do your Rob Zombie, like weird camera, shaky, in and out zoomy thing. That's cool. It all works. But I'd like to see what he could do. But oh man, dude, I can't pick. I honestly
I can't either.
I love both of these movies so much for two completely different reasons.
Here's the thing. They are damn near the same movie. It's very obvious when you watch it, but they are very different movies, and they are movies from their time, and they're both good, but they are so different. If you want action and a lot of comedy, I forgot just how funny the new one is. And it's just Rick O'Connell. Brendan Fraser is awesome, and the chemistry he and Rachel have is just perfect.
She was perfect. I wanted to see them. I would love to see Brendan Fraser get back into fighting shape and do another one of these movies, like the last one, kind of to make up for the last Mummy movie they did, because she needs to be in it. Rachel Weisz, she needs to be in it. You can't. They changed the wife in that last movie, and I was like,
was that the dragon, the Chinese one with Jet Li or whatever?
Nothing fit. The son, they would have never raised the son to be like that. That's all I'm saying.
It didn't work.
That boy would have never turned out to be a jerk.
Yeah. It was a fun movie, but it wasn't. It was entertaining. Good. Yeah.
But the Brendan Fraser movie, like you said, has a lot of comedy in it, a lot of action. The second one has a lot of action, a lot of comedy. It literally just built on the original movie that they had. And then they have the little boy in it. Somebody had a little boy. One of those scriptwriters had a little boy and didn't overwrite him, didn't make him stupid, made him just annoying enough to where you understood why that bad guy wanted to kill him, but made him smart to where you would go, I see where he gets his smarts from. That kid would be that smart, and then he'd also be that dangerous in that situation because of his dad.
Yeah. It's I can't talk about one without thinking about the other, because the original one sets this whole movie up.
It does.
And when you're watching the newer one, it's all there. And like I said earlier, all the stuff that the original doesn't show, we now see it. It's like, oh, you wanted to see this? Here you go. You want to see us find this tomb? Here it is.
Yeah.
And it's awesome and it's neat. Yes, the character names have changed. It's still the same story. I mean, you still have an Oksana, Amun, and Imhotep.
Imhotep, right?
Yeah.
They they take that and they stretch it out in the 1999
This is how we make an epic.
Movie. Yeah, they make it a lot more like, oh, that's why he was
and
so
set
in
in the same time frame.
Yeah,
Same time period.
Yeah, it's 1932. It's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same story in a different universe.
There you
It's
go.
the multiverse. It's the
It is a
universal
multiverse.
multiverse. If you want to talk about when the multiverse started, Universal started it before anybody else.
Yeah, they did. They did. And I'm just going to briefly mention the Tom Cruise Mummy movie.
I've never seen that.
Okay. And I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the big but. It's a Tom Cruise movie. I like Tom Cruise. I think he's a phenomenal actor at what he does with action and stunts. He's America's Jackie Chan.
Right.
So that's what you get with that movie. You get a full balls to the wall action. It's fun, and there's some neat throwbacks because this is when Universal was going to do their whole Dark Monsters universe. Yeah. You see a hint for the creature of the Black Lagoon being alluded to in it as well. So you could tell at the end that they're going to build on this, but I guess the movie was not received well, and they just said fuck it and scrapped it. And I get it. It's not the same. I don't feel that it's part. It is a more multiverse. It's like, okay, here's this telling of it. It's too action.
I want my Brandon Fraser with the side look and the little boy grin on his face that he's just about ready to do something very naughty.
Yes, definitely.
As his wife would say, he must have been very naughty.
In the Brendan Fraser one, I love Benny. The actor who plays Benny is phenomenal.
Benny. That guy was in.
He's been in a lot of shit.
The movie that he really strikes out for me is Peggy Sue Got Married. He was the good-looking guy that Peggy Sue winds up having an affair with on the back of the motorcycle. She's the guy. He's the poet.
Oh damn!
Burn, baby, fire! You owe it to ourselves to have sex one more time.
He's great in this. You really hate Benny. He plays the sleazeball perfectly. But God, the actor who played the warden, oh my God, he had me in tears. I've seen him in a lot of things, and he was great. This is so well cast.
He's a funny comedic actor. He does a lot of British stuff. He was in Black Books, a television series. It was a British television series called Black Books. He shows up in one episode, and it's an uncomfortable episode, but it's a funny episode. If anybody's out there and you want to get a good laugh, watch Black Books. It's about a bookshop and an owner who's just always in a bad mood and drunk, and everybody else is great. But that character, that actor, is in everything, and everything he's ever been in makes me laugh, and I can never remember his name.
His delivery is great, and this goes for both movies. They're both well cast. Mm-hmm. They're just well done. And I'll just for our audience, the whole story, and this is the same for both movies, is basically Imhotep was in love with an Oksana Moon. Yeah. Whatever her name is. And he wants to resurrect her. Mm-hmm. And, well,
he almost does.
He almost does in both of them. And in both of them, they involve a woman, Helen in the original, Evie in the Brendan Fraser, who are descendants, more than likely descendants of an Oksana Moon. Or, God damn, you know the name.
Both Evie and Ava?
I thought it was Helen.
Helen. Okay.
Yeah.
Are both reincarnations. They both keep getting reincarnated.
Yeah. And that's what it alludes to. Yeah.
I think they are both keep getting reincarnated to basically the same area and through the same bloodline. So it's just that when you really think about it, you're like, oh crap, that's probably the same bloodline, all the way through to where they're at now.
And it was neat that they did that. There's also another thing that carries through between the two movies is when that one guy reaches the one who's lost his eyes and his tongue and reaches out to touch Prince Imhotep.
Yeah.
And Benny's like, no, 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 no. He doesn't like to be touched. And that was one of the things I thought was interesting in the original Boris Karloff's Emotep. He's like, don't touch me.
Don't touch you. I can't let you touch me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that was good. It is what did he say? It's an old Eastern tradition or old Eastern prejudice.
yeah, one of the vibes I got from the latter movie is some cues from Dracula.
Oh yeah, most definitely. If you
Definitely.
put those two movies side by side, and even the werewolf to a lesser extent, those steps, those beats are all pretty much there. So yeah, you definitely.
There's a lot of similarities. A lot
between those two.
And I didn't notice that. I've seen all those movies before multiple times, and I've never made the connection. As like, oh my god, here's the same story just in a different universe, and it's like, okay, that's good. That's good. It's a good thing we got Dracula coming up.
Yeah, exactly. But real quick, Brandon Fraser, Rachel Weisz, John Hannah was the brother, Jonathan.
Yeah, he's great.
Everybody's
great.
Arnold Vosloo was Emotep. That guy, such a good villain, and he's got that smirk that.
He's great. He's charismatic. And this is what made me think of Dracula. He's suave. He's got swagger. And when he was coming for Evie and he just turned into sand and came through, it reminded me of Dracula coming under a doorway in fog or whatever. And it's like, you found Mina, who in Dracula is possibly reincarnation of his. Right. It's like, here's the same story. I never realized that till now. Yeah. It's like, what?
A lot of the same beats, a lot of the same rhythms. I'm going to go back to names real quick.
Sorry.
Kevin J. O'Connor was Benny. Jonathan Hyde, he's one of the doctors. Alan Chamberlain. And this is one of my favorite actors, and because he does some voiceovers too, and he's such a good voice. Oded Fehr was Ardeth Bey.
Yeah,
Oded talks like this. Yeah, Allah be with you.
He is a great presence in this movie. For those of you who don't know who he is also on Star Trek Discovery as the Admiral of Starfleet.
So, no shit, is he?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I might
much older. Gray hair. I'd watched several seasons, and it's like, I know him. Right. It's him.
Right.
So yeah, he's now part of the Star Trek universe, which is cool. Crazy. Good for him.
Eric Avari was Dr. Terrence Bay. That was the guy that caught the map on fire.
I've seen him in a lot of stuff.
Give me plagues. Give me.
Yeah.
That guy was great. I love him.
Yeah.
Who else is on here? Oh, here he is. Here's the guy. I'm going to ruin the name here. Omid Djalali was the warden.
That's the warden, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure I'm mispronouncing his name.
His delivery was great. And I don't know why, but every time he yelled, I just laughed.
Yeah.
He's just a pig. He's great.
The best was Anaxunamun. Anaxunamun. Patricia Velasquez, who I think was, did I pronounce her name right? Patricia Velasquez.
Velasquez. Who knows? We probably screwed it up.
So I destroy names. It's what I do, folks. I'm sorry. But she was absolutely gorgeous in this. In the first Mummy from 1999. And then when she makes her reappearance in the second Mummy, I about shit my pants because I was hoping she'd be in it. I was like, how are they going to fit this? Everybody else is in it. How are they going to get her in? And when she comes walking through the crowd and she's in that leather freaking outfit and everybody just moves to the side for her, I was like, oh shit. She can't be a Noxunamon. She is. She's a reincarnation.
Yeah.
And now they need Evie's soul to make the whole thing complete. And I was like, my God.
Here we go again. Yeah.
They ramped up. That was a good example of a good sequel because they ramp up the problem. The kid has got the bracelet on. That's a problem. then you find out that, oh, Anaxunamon is probably still alive, or at least reincarnated.
Yeah.
Oh, and they got your kid, and they're going to kill everybody again. And it's like it just keeps getting worse
It
and
did.
worse.
They upped the stakes a lot.
Yeah,
And that's another good one. I highly recommend the sequel. Absolutely.
in the first one, they knock up the problem too, because
Yeah.
Imhotep has taken Helen to the Egyptian museum.
Right.
He's telling her, "You have to die. I'm going to kill you. It's going to hurt for a little while, but it's nothing compared to the pain that I felt for 4,000 years." And I'm like sitting there thinking, that's not a way to a woman's heart.
No.
Imhotep, I know you've been out of the game for a while, but that's not how you get a girl to date you. It's like,
Now,
it's not going to hurt forever. And then she touches him, and the sand comes off on her hand.
yeah.
That's when her past life and her new life are like, whoa, 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 wait, let's hit the brakes.
Yeah, and that's one of the things they did really well with the original is Boris Karloff's skin. It looked like sand. It was so well done.
Yeah, I can't imagine the amount of makeup. And I've read like several things about how they did it. I don't remember how, but how just the wrinkles, because he just had that face that
Mm-hmm.
even if he took all that off, you would know it was Boris Karloff. You know what I mean? Even with all the makeup on, you knew it was Boris Karloff. But he looked completely different at the same time. It's amazing.
It is.
Amazing.
It is. Yeah, definitely. And that was one of the things that you have, as we've already said, it's two different movies, but they're both the same. And Boris Karloff and Arnold Vosloo both portray Imhotep very differently.
Oh, yeah.
Very differently. There's a different kind of evil behind Boris Karloff's than there is Arnold's portrayal.
Right. Yeah.
I never saw Boris Karloff as evil, his Imhotep as evil as Arnold's. And maybe it's just because he was ruthless in this Brendan Fraser movie. He just was killing people left and right. It didn't matter. He was converting whole crowds, and it was wild, man.
Yeah, he was going to take over the world at this point.
He was.
He had the power. He was going to use it. Boris Karloff just wanted to bring back his girl. He just wanted he just wanted to live out eternity with his girlfriend. And it's like he forgot that he's A, already dead.
Yeah.
And B, you're messing with a high priestess of Isis, and she don't want to die. You know?
Yeah.
Isis being the goddess of
Yeah.
life, I believe, of life and birth, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. Let me know in the comments below if I am. But these are movies that I watch every year for years. I can't remember a time not watching after 1999.
Really?
Not having The Mummy with Brendan Fraser at least once a year on in my house, because I love the movie that much. I just do. I went and seen both episodes 1 and 2, or movies 1 and 2 for that. The third one I did not go see at the movies. I didn't either. Because Rachel Weisz was in it. Get her back in. I'll go see the movie again.
It's not a horrible one, but I can forget it. I can do without.
Comparing it to the first two,
just forget it.
I'm comparing it to the first two. I love The Mummy from 1932. The poster, the actors, the actress. There's just something very endearing to me about these old horror movies, the old classic Universal horror movies. I just watched, what was it? The Creature from the Black Lagoon last night. I forgot how much I love that movie.
All right.
It's so well done. The special effects are so well done. Only one problem that I have, and it's mostly not a problem so much as I think this was done in 3D at the time. I think it was a 3D movie, was it?
Well, I do remember as a kid making my mom go get the 3D glasses from the drugstore. So when it came on at Halloween, I could watch with the red and blue, and we
So it
had to
was.
adjust the TV, and it was amazing. I remember as a little kid, there's fish in the fucking living room. It was amazing. I don't like the red and blue 3D, but it works. It works.
With that said, because there are scenes in this movie in the Creature from the Black Lagoon that are just so 3D in your face, like the
Yeah,
hands coming at you and
yeah,
shit.
they did
Like
it that
this
way.
had to be done in 3D back in the
Yeah,
day. But these old Universal movies still hold up. They
they do.
end usually very abruptly.
Yeah.
Frankenstein, Dracula, The Mummy, they end pretty abrupt. I think The Mummy out of those three has the best, at least a little bit more dragged out ending.
It has some
Because
closure, but man, it's just like, what?
yeah,
Wait, we're
it's
over?
still really quick. But Frankenstein, super quick. Dracula, super quick. It's okay, guys. Creature from the Black Lagoon had a little bit more stretched out, but it was also done in 54. So,
Mm,
you have that. I just love these old movies. I love them. I
they have a
love
lot
The
of heart.
Mummy. There is something about The Mummy that you instantly, for me, I feel for the character. I'm like,
Hmm.
that would be great. I could see living forever. And then I think I would hate to be in a coffin for 2,000 years.
Well,
If that
and
was part of the deal, I don't want it.
and that's what I was trying to say earlier, and I couldn't quite get it out right. But in the original, Emotep I'm more sympathetic to Emotep.
Right.
I have a little more empathy for him because all he's wanting is his girlfriend, and it's sad that he can't see that it's wrong to kill somebody just to get your girl back. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
But I understand it. This motherfucker in 99, he wants the world and he's pissed, and rightfully so. And I'm glad they showed all that because what they did to him was absolutely horrific. And
Right.
I'd be a little pissed off too.
And at one time, I used to sit there and think for the second movie, why would you put this curse on his coffin that gives him all this power and
Yeah.
all this damage? And then it dawned on me while I was talking to the old lady, because having that curse on the coffin written out saying, don't do this because this will happen, all this evil will happen, is supposed to keep the person from actually opening the coffin. But it doesn't
No,
because
you
Evie
put,
wants to read the book. Don't
dude,
read from the book.
I'm sorry. If I'm there, I'm pulling a Bruce Campbell. I'm reading from the fucking book, and the dead will rise. It's just gonna happen. It's like, oh, what's in this box? I'm going to open it. I'm gonna get sprayed with acid.
My wife would say the same thing about me. If you were in that tomb, you would have popped open that damn thing also. You would have read from the book because you always want to go where you're not supposed to go.
She's right. I will do it. If you put a big red button that says don't push,
Yeah.
I'm pushing it. I'm going to push it.
Don't tempt me.
It's in my DNA.
Right.
I'm the white guy who's going to run down the stairs into the basement to hear what that noise was in pitch black.
I'm not that white guy, but I'll be the white guy standing on the top of the stairs watching my friend get sucked into the third layer of hell. Going, yeah,
have a nice trip.
I'm just gonna bolt lock this door now.
Yeah.
Okay,
we're done.
Out. I gotta go.
Yeah, and it just made me think of Ash versus the Evil Dead. And there's a scene where Bruce Campbell's Ash Williams is trying to get him some with this girl, and she's like, she saw something and said something about some poetry, and he's like, oh, right. You like poetry? Thinking he's going to get in her pants. He grabs the Necronomicon. I've got some poetry for you. And he starts reading. He's high as fuck reading from it, and guess the dead come. And they're like, how'd this happen? And it's like, it's Ash trying to get him some. Every damn time.
Every war is started by some guy trying to get him some by trying to impress some chick.
Yeah, so he's like, oh, I got some poetry for you. Yeah, so that would be me. Yeah, oh, poetry? Sure. Hey, what's the worst that could happen? The dead will rise? Yeah.
Yes. Don't do that. But these movies, and like I said, the old Universals, and even the one guy, like speaking of Ash, the one guy in the first Mummy, I'm sorry, I don't remember the character's name. He's trying to impress uh, Helen,
Yeah. I think his
and
name's
he's
Frank.
just goofing everything up.
Yes.
Just listen to one of the old men when they say, "Hey, this guy's evil and he's probably a monster." Just listen to him.
When Frank when Frank meets Helen and he's really coming on strong.
Oh boy,
and talks about how how he had to dig up a grave and all of that, and that's how they come together. And her response is awesome. It's like, do you have to open graves to find girls to fall in love with? I was like, that was great.
and Zeta Johan's delivery on that line is just freaking perfect.
Yeah,
because they are so close. I mean, the tension that she
I was like, what is going on here?
Sexual tension. I mean, especially for the time, was absolutely. And this is pre-code, so she could be very sultry. And boy, I don't know how that guy in real life just didn't melt all over her. I bet he was hitting on her left and right.
I'm sure everybody was
just so close to him, and she says that line, and it's like, even I melted. I'm like, oh. And it's not a sexy line.
No, but it's their chemistry. Those two actors had such great chemistry. It's like Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz have that chemistry. You believe it. Yeah. In all of these movies, I believed every single character. It's like casting is top notch. The acting, the directing, the way it's shot. They're both beautiful films. The blending of practical effects and CGI in the later movie, and just the practical effects and in camera work in the first is just really good.
Amazing in the first one.
Yeah.
Just great. Yeah. So, final thoughts.
My final thoughts. I like these movies both. They're a lot of fun. I don't have a favorite. I just think you can't watch one without the other, because since we started this, it's watching these old movies will give you an insight into where we're at today on things. And don't be like me. A couple of years ago, I was very quick to dismiss these old black and white 100-year-old movies, and just sticking to the stuff that's fun and flashy and everything. But when you watch, you start to see, hey, they had a different type of budget. They couldn't just go to a computer and make this. How did they do that? And then you start to see the heart, the acting, the direction, and how things are just really good. These movies hold up. They really hold up. So I recommend both of them. Stay away from the third Brendan Fraser Mummy. Watch the first two.
Not his fault.
Not his fault.
I won't blame him at all. I don't blame anybody in that, and I don't blame the woman that took the.
No. It just the movie to me just didn't hit as well.
I think the chemistry was off between those two, and it's all about the chemistry between the husband and wife.
As watchers of these movies, we were expecting Rachel Weisz. It didn't happen, and that just doesn't work. You know, it's that far along. Yeah.
And with me, I love both these movies. If you're going to plan on watching them both, watch The Mummy 1932 first.
Yes.
Then Brendan Fraser's 1999 Mummy. And you'll see what we're talking about as far as
they complement each other greatly.
Very, very well done. And I just love the black and white. I love the black and white movies. I'm glad that when I start saying movies to you now, you don't go. It's black and white.
I know. It's like I'm good with it. I love watching these old movies. We watched old gangster movies, old horror movies, the Universal Monsters. It's cool to step through history and see what people were doing and how they were doing it, and it's entertaining.
So long ago.
Yeah,
especially so long ago. It's like if you watch the Dracula one now, 1932, right?
Yeah, somewhere in there, yeah.
32?
32, yeah.
It's going to be 100 years old. We watched Nosferatu.
That was 100 years old.
100 years old. That is a 100-year-old movie.
Yeah.
No lie. Wow, it holds up. It holds up pretty, except for Nosferatu walking around with the coffin in his arms. It holds up really well.
When you look at it, and we talked about that in our podcast, when you look at it, you understand why things were done the way they were and what they had to work with. I know Nosferatu is being remade.
Right.
So I really don't care. So
I don't know what else you can do to it after.
Well, because to me, Nosferatu is Dracula. They just changed the damn names to avoid a lawsuit. So we've got good Dracula movies. I don't need another one. Although I might watch it because I'm a sucker for vampires.
And it depends on who's in it and how much you change it. Because I do think Nosferatu, if you're going to do it nowadays,
you need to change it.
Bring it up a bit. Throw in a Brandon Fraser. Throw in a Brendan Fraser.
Or throw in somebody really that can dark.
Make it work really well.
Yeah.
And you go really dark. Yeah. You go either super dark, almost horrific, like actual horrific, or you lighten it up a bit and let, a main character that's not Nosferatu take the stage and do Brendan Fraser type stuff. It would be great to have him and Rachel Weisz be the same characters from The Mummy now fighting a Nosferatu. That's
Why
me.
not?
That's how my mind thinks.
I would have cast them and done it. Yeah, absolutely. It's fine,
Universal, you want to bring back your monster movies? There you go. You just get Brendan Fraser and let him do his thing, man. Jeez. Yeah. The two of them had really good chemistry. I hope they actually liked each other in real life.
If they didn't, it looked like it.
Yeah, if they didn't, it looked like they were best friends. So
they probably would be. All right, so that does it for this week's episode of Old Ass Movie Reviews. Go watch both Mummies, the 1932 and 1999 Mummy movies. You won't be disappointed. They do complement each other. As I said earlier, the Brendan Fraser from 99 is all the stuff that you heard about but didn't get to see in the original. So they are. It was really cool. It's like I'm watching it last night. It's like, wow, look at that. There's the pieces we were missing.
Yeah.
Really neat. Really neat.
You watch that original one and then you watch the Brendan Fraser one and you're like, oh my gosh, they got that right directly out of the movie. They just turned it,
Yep.
They took this and they turned it so you can look at it in a different way. And it's good. It all works. Oh, and don't forget, folks, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share us. If we're on a link, just copy and paste our link and post it wherever you want somebody to see us at. Just
give us a review.
Yeah, throw down.
Drop us a line.
We're here. We're easy to get along with. Well, Scott's easier to get along with than I am because I don't like to talk.
Some days.
Much. This is different.
Yeah, right. Right.
Million miles away from everyone.
All right. So be sure and join us next week when we touch on some other horror film from some time frame. I know it's vague because we don't know what we're doing yet. So we will see you next week. Thanks again for watching and watch out for the mummies.
Ooh.